Alrighty. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics. This is episode number 1852 and Doubleshot 1746. Now, cut due two DC trades for you. First, issues that came out roughly, get this, 11 years ago. Yes, can you believe it's been 11 years since this thing happened? We have Legion of Superheroes, Volume 1, which is called Hostile World. This collects the first 7 issues of Legion of Superheroes, Volume 7. Yes, and at the time, when this book ended in 2013, this was the last Legion of Superheroes book published for almost 10 years. Actually, the next book came out roughly 7 years later. Yes. Of course, I had previously reviewed the final trade of this book in a previous review. It's the library. They got us out of order, so don't blame me, blame the library. That last book I reviewed, that was the end of the run. This is the start of the relaunch of the book. Now, here's the thing about this relaunch. Everything is intact for Legion of Superheroes. This, of course, is the pre-Zero version of the characters, and they kept everything intact except one thing they altered. One thing is that they have lost contact with Superman. Yep, that's the only thing. They lost contact with him, and basically, the story for this one is like, okay, we're in the 31st century, obviously, and the thing is, Legion of Superheroes was definitely one of those titles that was publishing DC Comics at the time of New 52 relaunch. So I guess DC probably felt as though, keep the book going, despite its relaunch. Of course, it's written by one of his longtime writers, Paul Levitz, who wrote this entire volume. Here's a fun fact for you. This is the last Legion book that he ever wrote for the characters. Though there was a miniseries that came this period called Legion, I think it was Legion Secret Origin. But that was like one of 2 spin-offs this book had. There was also Legion Lost, which I don't think he wrote that one. I don't remember he did. That book actually lasted not as long as this did. Though that book ended just prior to this one. It ended after 16 issues. This one ended after 23. And you might think, okay, this book ain't going to come out, but guess where his volume did? Nope, it never did. Nope. Yeah. And the whole thing with this one is that we have this guy who's like a rebel who apparently says, oh, the Legion was holding me down for years. And the Legion is like, we have no idea who the heck you freaking are. And that's kind of the story here. The story does lead to what happens next stuff. We have 7 members of Legion get kidnapped by the Dominators. Yes, Dominators. Now, let me show you what the cover looks like here, because the cover for the trade is the first issue here. Yeah, this is the cover they released for the first issue of Legion Superheroes. We have Chameleon Boy. We have Ultra Boy, this new red hair character, who I believe is supposed to be one of the characters' love interest, and a soldier with a gun. Yeah, this is what people got when this issue was first released back in September. Yes, September 2011. Yes, that's when the book started. It was concluded in August of 2013. Why August, you might ask? Because for the period of about 2011 to about 2015, DC did this, where actually from 2012 to about 2015, like every year they celebrate the anniversary of the New 52, we got to put all the books on a 1-month break. First, it was the issue zeros, and then it was Villains Month, and the third and last one was New 52 Futures End. Yep, all a bunch of one-shots. And you might be asking, did this book receive a 0? Yes, it did. I will discuss that in our video. Did it receive a Villains Month one-shot? No. This book was actually, I think it was canceled, I believe it was. Yes, I think it was. Yeah, oddly enough, this book did not receive a Villains Month, let's just say, run per se. Yeah, it never did. Nope, never did. Nope, it just never really did. You just had issue 0, and that was it. There was No Villains one shot, no Future's End. It actually ended just prior to Future's End, so it couldn't get it anyways. Yeah. Actually, that was 8 years later. Turns out it was actually 6. Yeah, 6. Yep. Yeah, and like I said, no annuals. So this is a good start to this particular run. But next Comic Con, I will be discussing the final issue. This is right now my final thoughts. But this is good. I like this. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. If you like superheroes, you would like this book. Though it does continue some of the stuff that the previous one was associated with. Namely put, apparently that the United Federation of Planets, the United Galactic Federation of Planets, I think they were called, they were xenophobic for some reason. And there was many accusations pointing forward of what the heck was behind it. The run itself, the previous volume before this one, only lasted 16 issues before its relaunch. Yes, seriously, 16 issues. And I read it. It's like, oh, it's teenage hijinks. Oh, we have a couple found, discovered in bed together. And this happened several times. Also, the leader in these issues is, in this one, it's, get this, we have Mon-El leading the Legion of Superheroes. Yep. And next volume is going to be kind of weird one. The next issue is a weird one to discuss. Alright, next up we have Wonder Woman by John Byrne. Yep, John Byrne, get chances right, Wonder Woman. Yep, this is book 1. They collect issues from his very run. Fairly recent release trade, believe it or not. Yes. Yes. Can you believe this book was only released just a few years ago, like about 5 years ago? Yeah, this is basically his run from 1995 to I think in about 1997, I think it was. Yeah, John Byrne didn't have, I think he had about the same length as his run for Superman. Oh, if you're curious, how old is John Byrne? He's 71. Yep, he is 71. And if you're curious though, how long was his run of Wonder Woman? 36 issues. Yep, 36. And this was the first one. He did 36 issues plus 2 annuals. And this covered the year of like, I think it was like 95 to about 97. Yeah, that's pretty much in a way what this book covered. Which is interesting to say the least. And if you're curious though, how many volumes of this one there is, this is the first of 3. Yep, 3. Yep. Oddly enough, the issues that come after this one wraps up, there are some issues that are simply just not in trade. For reasons. I do not know the reason for it. It's just that it's simply not there. I'll get to that later on. Okay, so in these issues here, basically, we have the start of a brand new era. And with the John Byrne run, do we have a new character pops up this run who's still on this very day? The answer is yes. In this run, at the start of this one, we have debut of Wonder Girl. You're thinking, wait, you mean Donna Troy? No. Cassandra Sandmark, who was revealed toward the end of the run that she's the daughter of Zeus. Though in the current continuity, she's basically his granddaughter. But she's still related to Zeus. Her mother is Helena Sandmark, who's an archaeologist. Now, she, of course, was completely unaltered for the current continuity. Except the only change they made was basically who Cassandra's father was. That's the only difference. Now, in the opening issue, this is why we have basically Wonder Woman versus the New Gods. I'm like, wow, what a big start. Her fighting freaking Darkseid in the opening issue was amazing. You have Paradise Island get destroyed by Apocalypse, though eventually did come back later on. So, she also fights Etrigan Demon here. Phantom Strange makes God's appearance. There's a brief appearance by Superman. Yes, Superman. And they even reference Action Comics 600, which John Byrne wrote that one. Yep. Not a bad idea. After all, he did write it. Yeah. And here's some artwork in here by John Byrne. It is amazing. Yeah. And this is how he draws Darkseid, which I gotta admit, he does a really good job. You could say that John Byrne, based on his art style, might be sort of the modern equivalent to Jack Kirby, in kind of a mild way. Also, here's Wonder Girl. That's Cassandra Sandmark as a tomboy. Later on, she did grow her hair, and that's Helena Sandmark, Cassandra's mom. Yeah, John Byrne created her just to be a new Wonder Girl. Yep. And we also have Morgan Le Fay here, who briefly does die in this book. Yep. And then we have this whole plot of like dead characters coming back, including frickin' Sinestro. Yeah, his parents' book was weird. Like, why is Sinestro for it? And probably this guy called Champion. And then for some reason, the scientists created frickin' Doomsday. And if you're curious though, is this the first time John Byrne drew Doomsday? Yes. Question. Has Wonder Woman ever fought Doomsday prior to this story? The answer is no. She never has fought Doomsday before the story. And she doesn't know about him probably because basically he was accounted with Superman. Yep. Add the whole Champion stuff here. Yeah, testing out her powers. Doctor makes a big appearance in here. It is really good stuff here. I love this book. It is awesome. Great start for this book. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Just damn good here. I love it. Yep. Still got a while to go before I conclude reviewing this whole run. Now, I have reviewed for this volume the 200s because I did review the entire Grey Workers run. Weirdly enough, Volume 2 is not entirely in trade for some reason. The John Byrne run's all in trade, no problem, which concluded with issue 136. But here's the weird thing. 137 to 159 are not in trade. Why in the world these issues not in trade? I have no freaking idea. Excuse me. And if you're curious, so who wrote these issues at the Byrne left? Wasn't Brian King Vaughn. He only wrote 2 issues. Also, issues 62, 63, those 2 are not in trade either. Yeah, but in the case of let's just say who wrote the book, after, of course, John Byrne left, basically, there's a guy called Eric Luke on the book. Yeah, he was on the book for the rest of this period of time until Phil Jimenez took over the book. And if you're curious to how long did he write Wonder Woman for? Well, he came on with issue 139, and then he left after issue... Well, he left after issue 152, but came back 156, 159, and part of his run went on for the years. That is in trade. Basically, about 2 issues of his entire run is in trade. And it was only released just a couple years ago. Yeah. Like, really? Yes, really. Only 2 frickin' issues. Why only 2 issues? I have no idea why in the world that was. But if you're curious to who wrote the next couple issues, Christopher Priest. Yep. Christopher Priest himself wrote the next couple issues. And yes, one of them had 1 million. Did Christopher Priest write this one too? Yes, he did. 3 issues he ever did for the book. And yeah. Wrote 3 issues. Why only 3 issues? No idea. If I get a chance now, I might ask that question. Why only 3 freaking issues? Actually, he did write issues 80, 89, but he came back for these 3 issues, and the last book he did was Wonder Woman plus Jesse Quick, and that was it. That was the only thing he wrote for the book. Mm-hmm. Now, the 80, 89, that is in trade, believe it or not. But as for the rest of this run, nope, it isn't. But that's here or there. But so a couple more trades of you for John Byrne's run, and that's it for John Byrne. Yep, another writer done. Yep. Now, Wonder Woman would definitely be a book, basically, how we continue reviewing. Now, I am very happy I got past issue 100 for this one. It is by far the only DC book I actually have done this for, review-wise, where, for a volume anyways, I reviewed the first 100 issues. Yeah, first 100 issues, all reviewed. All done. No problem. And now I'm on the John Byrne run, which I have heard this run does get controversial, but man, for the start of this run, it is amazing. Love it. And it is interesting, though, that he only created just 2 characters in this whole run. Like, that's the weird thing about John Byrne for this run. Like, he created Cassandra Sandmark. Like, you probably ask, okay, what's there like any other character created aside from Cassandra Sandmark and her mom? Okay, there was a guy called Mike Shar. He was in the book. He was only in this run. Yep, he actually came back a few issues even afterwards, but he was in the majority of this run. Yeah, I think he skipped a few issues, but yeah, he was. I think it was like the first character that he. Well, and also the first. We also have Gateway City, which was a place that first appeared back in Showcase 60. This may have been the first post-crisis appearance of the city. You think it's Showcase 60? Okay, interesting. Like, what was so part of this issue? It's a story it's a book that featured the Spectre. Yep, that's pretty much because it's associated with the Spectre. It's based upon San Francisco, and one was based in the city. She did briefly came back to the city 780, but she was only there just for the John Byrne run. Even after John Byrne left, like, she was still in the city. She stayed in the city up until issue 180, came back for 1 issue. So for about 80 issues, he was in the city. Yeah, basically up until Phil Jimenez was on the book. Yeah, that's when she finally left the city. Mm-hmm. Yep. But aside from Mike Schur, who's a police officer, and the other 2 I just named, was there like any other character who popped up during these initial issues that were first appearance per se? That's it. Oh, well, those 2. I already named those 2 anyways. Like the Sandmarks. Yep. I always love it when Etch Academia shows up. And I'm looking at it basically so far in just these opening 14 issues. Basically, in the way John Byrne only created like 3 characters. Well, and also he gave Cassandra Sandmark the code name of Wonder Girl. Mm-hmm. There was this character Champion in the book, and no, he is not a creation of John Byrne. He is Hercules. He's a creation of Gardner Fox. Yep. But yeah, basically just a few characters just for the start of this run. But it's amazing. Yeah, covering 14 issues. And like I said, the first issue only came out just the previous year, like in September of 1995. That was the very first issue of this whole run. And they're like beginning a brand new era. And basically, usually whenever you have a new writer on board, they have this happen for the book. Now, I'm looking at the artist who did 1/130 in the first issue, Eric Luke's run for the book, which is a weird name. You have Yannick Predick doing the artwork, which is interesting to say the least. Yep. But I will be reviewing more Wonder Woman by John Byrne in the future. Okay, so yeah, that's it for Sick Review, and that's it for videos tonight because I have no more time to do more videos. I really want to get these 2 done. Now, yes, Right Show here did air yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to watch, so hopefully I get a chance to review it tomorrow. Okay, next video. Bye.